folks, let's do it. Let's begin. Let us begin. Let us begin the show that we deserve. The show that we deserve. The show that we deserve. We do. We do not take a break because it does so much for us. It gets us up in the morning, gets us started, right? It gives us so many insights. It helps us so much, right? Just give me a cheer on the vocals. Vocals. I'm sorry, give me a cheer on the sound vocals as if I'm performing on stage. But this is in many ways a stage, right? This is in many ways a stage. But yeah, if you can hear me, say something. Take your front seats. You're all looking really pretty. Set it up and we will go. Yes, says Mr. Sumant Kumar. Good morning, Mr. Kumar. Good morning. And thank you for that. Good morning, Mr. Tiwari. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Let's begin. Get your beverage. Get your beverage. Let's be ready for this beautiful thing. The show of all shows, the show that we deserve. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We're having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We're working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our siblings, our husbands, our wives, our friends, everybody. Well, not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Call it divine intervention, folks, but things just got a whole lot better. Now we have Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis, which don't lead to paralysis, right before we punch in. So let's continue with our journey of reading between the lines, things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. Let's go! But before we go, you gotta follow a tradition, right? You know the tradition, the sweet and sacred tradition of the simultaneous sip. We'll all sip something together and it'll bring us good luck, as it always does, without fail, every day. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a cup or mug, a glass, a tank, a chalice, a stein, a canteen jug, a flask, or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. I like hot water with black pepper in it. And here we go. God damn it. It's beautiful. Let's do it again. Lovely. Healing. Sublime. You know what the simultaneous sip says, right? You know what it says? It says that you are not alone. It says that we are in this together. And that's such a beautiful thing to say. With that out of the way, let's start. Today is a no news day. Essentially, there's no news. Everything is where it was. There's nothing new happening in this world, right? There's absolutely no developments in the world of business and finance, even in the world of geopolitics. The world of politics is a buzz, of course, but nothing that we usually talk about except one thing. And what is that one thing? And there's a very high probability that you would not have cared about that, or you would have definitely missed it, right? So you wouldn't know about this particular news, but it is essentially the news of all news, right? It has sunk the Western economy. It has definitely sunk the European economy. The top European economies, it has taken them down to to the drain. It's basically took them down to toilets, essentially. All the Western economies, it killed them. China benefited. Good morning, Mr. Patil. Good morning, Mr. Class Apart. So this is the news, which is essentially, uh, a development due to which Europe has sunk, China has grown, US has sunk, and the entire geopolitical play has totally remorphed itself, right? But we don't know about that. So there are some guesses. There's Venezuela conflict. No, Mr. Kumar, Venezuela conflict is not that particular news. No, Venezuela conflict we discussed. That was a that we discussed that, but it doesn't have the ramifications of this particular play. Mr. Tiwari writes birth rate decline in Poland. Well, birth rate decline is uh, something of that level, sure, but even that is not the case. I'll tease you a little more. This is the reason why the entire economic incentive of the Western economy shifted. This is the industry which essentially changed the course of the decisions that were made when it came to the European economy and the US economy. Anybody? Okay, this is has been AI, says Mr. Sumant Kumar. No, no, no. AI is very recent. This has been going on for 50 years. So this is like a 70, 60, 70 year thing. Since 1960, this has been on, right? And another guess. So it's something that is uh, denuclearization of EU. That is very close, very close. It has to do with energy. Very close, Mr. Tiwari. Defense nuclear, says Mr. Yogendra Pratap Singh. No, okay. So we are merging close to it. I'll give you outsourcing, says Mr. Patil. No, it's not outsourcing. I'll give you a hint. It's done by a journalist who was also one of the journalists responsible for the famous Twitter files. You know about Twitter files, the FBI, the CIA involvement in Twitter, which Mr. Musk unveiled as he took over Twitter. So it's that journalist has come out with this expose, and it's perhaps the biggest news that you can talk about, but not many people know about it. I'll just give you 10 more seconds. Think about it. It's very consequential. It's how every business decision is made. Okay, it's basically we've talked about how it's a sham, but people still take it very seriously. Okay, so enough of playing around. It's the climate crisis. So Mr. Michael Schellenberger, the famous journalist of or behind Twitter files, has uncovered that the sea level rise report was a hoax. It's not just a hoax, but it was a hoax that people who were propagating it knew that it was a hoax, but they still did it anyway. So the entire climate change industry, now this is very much related to what we discussed one day when we said that climate models are BS, right? And the whole thing, we've been talking about how climate change as a thing has been perpetrated since 1930s and 40s. So if you look at those predictions, they predicted that in 30 years we're gonna go irreversible. Then 50s came, 30 years we're gonna go irreversible. Then 60s came, 10 years, 20 years we'll all die. Then 80s came. By 2000 it's gonna be ice age back again. Then or global warming. Then by 2000s we got to know that something was happening. Then Greta Thunberg came along. She said 2020 is when the world ends. Then she deleted that tweet, right? And all of those predictions were basically modeled on the sea level rise. So they took out the 30 year sea level rise and they found out that it's not working. And what they found was even more damning was that these people knew that it wasn't based on science. They just shilled it anyway. Now, because of this particular industry, let's say if you can call climate change an industry, the entire world shifted towards renewables, right? The entire world offshored manufacturing to other places. China grew, right? The whole world decided to be dependent on renewables, on electric, on solar, and China essentially took all of it, right? The whole world closed its energy supplies. They closed their pipelines. They closed their coal and gas production. Everything, everything essentially changed. Companies' way of working changed, right? Uh, Industries grew and fell because of this. If you remember the 2020 US presidential election, climate change was the forthcoming, most important talking point of Joe Biden. So this basically changed every economy of the West, of the of America, of Europe. They killed their economies. They killed their industries, right? And China kept doing what it did, and they talked about carbon emissions, and they all of this, all of this, all of this was bullshit, folks. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? So the report, which is a pretty good journalistic piece, which you should check out, right? Talks about how these people were knowingly. So the beauty is not that they were uh, giving bullshit reports. That's okay. That's fine. Everybody gives bullshit reports. That's like 90% of people. What do they do? Just bullshit reports that nobody reads. It's when you know that it is bullshit. Right? It's okay if you don't know something. Nobody can, nobody can know everything. We talk about known unknowns, unknown knowns, right? Unknown unknowns. That's okay. That's okay. These people knew that the reports that they were giving out, the predictions, projections that they were giving out, they were all bullshit. And that essentially led to the whole sea level thing. So this is related to sea level. It's not all climate models yet. Yet. So I'm not saying it's not all climate models. I'm not giving any leeway to all these climate models. But it's not all climate models yet. But the sea level thing, you got to read that Michael Schellenberger report. Now the question is, why is it not a bigger news? Why is it not a bigger news? So if you open your newspapers, the most intellectual ones as well, like if you open Business Standard, Financial Express, Economic Times, nobody has covered this. Why? Why do you think has nobody covered it? Right? Can you guess, folks? Now, this is not a small deal, of course. Trillions upon trillions of dollars have been given away by the West. Entire policy making narrative has changed. Everything has changed, right? Around this. Now, everybody said that by this year, LA will be washed off, or, this and that. While Barack Obama and the likes basically bought seafront properties, why is it not a news? I'm just talking about the sea level play. I'm not talking about the entire climate paradigm. Why is it not a news? Can you guess? Carbon credits, of course, Mr. Kumar. That's just one angle where this has played out. But this is not a news because it's awkward. It's just awkward, right? And you know what the beauty is? That nobody has come to defend or totally outrightly dismiss this particular journalistic endeavor as well. There's no pushback, so it's all legitimate essentially. You know, this is huge, but nobody's talking about it because it's just awkward. When a bunch of intelligentsia, right, the entire intelligentsia rallied itself around one particular thing, and then they found out that, oh, okay, sorry about that, right? It's just, it's like, it's just very, very awkward. I mean, nobody wants to talk about it. But it's come out, so you should all read Mr. Michael Schellenberger's report. If you don't know about Michael Schellenberger, he's the person responsible one of the three top journalists responsible for Twitter files, where they actually uncovered how CIA was directing Twitter to ban right-wing accounts, or anti-narrative accounts, and so on and so forth. So this is huge. This is very, very big, but uh, you know, nobody noticed, which is amazing. Which is amazing, right? Moving on, folks. There's another news that is similarly like of not of Mr. Magesh Mani says debt funds saw a net inflow of 1.2 lakh crores in September compared to a net outflow in August. What's going on inside? Debt funds. Well, debt funds saw a net. I'll have to read about it. I didn't read that. There's a lot of action, of course. When you say debt fund, what do you mean by that? That's also are you, because we've talked is it Mr. Money, is it anyway related to what we've been discussing for a long time, because external commercial borrowings and debt bonds have become more favorable because of the whole AAA minus to AAA rating upgrade of India, and a very high liquid balance sheets of companies, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the banking sector not the banking the whole India Inc. looking green. So there a lot of money is being raised by bonds, which is exactly what was expected once S&B upgraded India's rating. But that said, I'll have to come to this news. There was a Washington Post piece on Adani. So there's yet another attack on Adani, where they alleged that LIC invested about $3.9 billion in Adani at the behest of government orders. Right? That's what these people said. Now, uh, once again, so how many attacks has Adani already taken? One was from Hindenburg, of course. Then there was this whole, DOJ investigation on Adani about bribes which Adani gave in India, right? Apparently, allegedly. And then now LIC's investment in Adani. Now, once can be a coincidence. More than twice, it's a pattern, and it's definitely a pattern. People are not happy with how Adani has taken, steam, and taken a lot of has led a lot of private capex in the country. And Adani is one of the few empires which has shown global ambition. So if you look at Indian empires, Indian conglomerates, Indian business houses, they've been very local. Even Reliance has been very local. Yes, companies like Bharti, companies like some automotive players like Bajaj, TVS, maybe Tata, they've tried going out, right? Tata in a big way by acquiring JLR and so on and so forth, Tetley. So Tata has done some acquisitions, but Indian companies have more or less been local. And definitely when it came to infrastructure and in that kind of play, Indian companies have absolutely been local. Adani Group has displayed some will to essentially build outside the country as well, grow as a global conglomerate. And that has clearly upset a lot of people, because this again is allegedly a deep state attack on Adani. Now, how many people do believe that Adani can be a target of deep state American so-called bureaucratic machine? Do you believe in that narrative where India can be interfered with, or is being interfered with, the deep state machinery, and these people want to unsettle Indian business houses or even Indian socio-political play? Because recently there came an article in The Economist which said the Gen Z is rising. Why doesn't India stand up? So this was a very interesting piece where they highlighted what happened in Sri Lanka, what happened in Bangladesh, what happened in Nepal, and so on. And why isn't India having that kind of political unrest? So, very weird wording, of course. But do you think Adani is being attacked, by foreign vested interest groups, or there is something, definitely, shady about the empire? Well, I'll give you a very objective, two-sided view of the situation. One is, of course, there has to be a pattern to this. You know, nobody attacked, let's say, Tata or Reliance when they dealt with Google, when they dealt with Facebook, and so on and so forth, and a lot of other people. So, if there's concerted attempts on one group, there has to be some machinery behind it, right? And of course, a lot of it was looked pretty coordinated, and also it just incentives were aligned to hurt the Adani empire in ways, and the timing is always very circumspect, elections and so on and so forth, right? So that angle has to be played out. And the second part is Adani shady? Well, of course, Adani is shady, right? Uh, is Indian business ecosystem not shady at all? Can you point out one business house or the entire business paradigm of the country and say that yeah, it is 100% clean, right? Or 100% non-political, and so on and so forth, right? Can anybody in their right mind or hearts say that there's one empire in this country or one business in this country at that scale which is not in a way politically inclined, right? uh, that's just wishful thinking, right? Tata, no, no, not at all, not at all. So they have been very good balance. They've maintained a very good balance, Mr. Kumar, but it cannot be said that they are apolitical. You know, it's never been the case. I mean, the point is that in India, businesses rise and fall with political tides. Everybody knows that. So in India, you saw the JP Group rise because they were friends with BSP. As soon as SP came along in UP, the JP Group was riddled with all sorts of problems, and they eventually got taken out. Right. Uh, the same goes with many, many, many empires. So if you look at all the businesses that have been going on, right? JSW is an exception, says Mr. Sumant Kumar. JSW is definitely is an exception when it comes to maneuvering political alignment, right? But if you look at Indian business houses, right? First of all the Indian, family businesses, if you notice a pattern, they are all 100-year-old empires. So they are pre-independence guys. So let me point that out for you. Birlas, Tatas, Singhanias, the JK guys, Dalmias, uh, Mahindras, uh, Modis, the Godfrey Phillips people, then so all of these people, if you're looking at all of these people, they are essentially pre-independent people. Do you think that's business acumen that played out in those businesses, right? With those businesses? Of course not. Then the Lala Shriram group, that again. So I can keep naming and the list keeps going on. So if you look at all the companies that are listed right now in the country, Birlas, did I say Birlas? I guess I did. All of these people are like pre-independence people, and they have been passing it on by generations. So 100-year-old companies running with political patronage and so on. So of course, Reliance is a new empire, 80s, Adani is new. Then there are new companies, of course, Havels is new, and so on and so forth. After 90s, you saw a lot of good companies coming out. But most of the conglomerates of this country are pretty old, right? And nobody can claim to be clean, 100% clean. So yes, it'll be easy to target any business house in this country and find out some political patronage here and there, but obviously it's very lopsided, attacks on Adani. And the beauty is that if something wrong happens to Adani group, because it's so big, it's going to be very bad news for the country, for two reasons. Firstly, of course, the direct first order play, right? They hire a lot of people and so on and so forth. Second, they deal with a lot of infrastructure, a lot of projects are in the way, you don't want them to get in a limbo. And third, the second order effects is these people are the ones who have been taking a lot of debt to service, to invest, to do the private capex, right? And if they go down, a lot of that banking thing also goes down. And if banking thing also goes down, the entire country goes in a 2014 banking play, which took like 12, 13 years to recover. So all these attacks, obviously, when you're trying to attack an economy or you're trying to attack a company, it's just one choke point or one pain point you want to see, right? Because that's gonna have maximum impact. It's called like Marmukalari, the philosophy of Marmukalari. Just one pain point and everything crashes. The pressure point. And that pressure point is definitely Adani. But is it clean? No. Nobody is clean, essentially. Moving on, folks. But LIC has refuted Washington Post's report, and it says it's basically a bunch of bullshit, right? We have extraordinary amount of capital, $3.9 billion, or whatever has been alleged, 34,000 crore, is just, it was a triple A credit rated instrument at a 7.75% coupon rate. So triple A rated. So this is again a bond, right, which was Mr. Money. It's relevant to you. Debt. A lot of corporates are raising a lot of debt, and the figure you pointed out goes with what we've been discussing for many, many episodes. Speaking of debt and banking and so on and so forth, Kotak has come out with its Q2 earnings. Not good, not great. There's a comment by Mr. Sumant Kumar, says the narrative by political parties about Adani's and Ambani's getting benefited by government. I feel a lot of people believed it. Yeah, so that's getting into politics, so I'll not go there. But the point is, they say that Adani benefited from government contracts. Well, obviously, because it got a lot of easy debt. Let's say, a lot of debt it got, helped it, definitely helped it. So we won't do politics, but somebody had to do it, right? Somebody had to step up and take the mantle and invest in capex and build the projects. Why did no other player before Adani do this? So let's say Adani got the benefit of it, right? But what happened before Adani? Why did no player essentially take such risks at that scale and go all ballistic? Why was India's infrastructure growth and projects not didn't why didn't they have that growth rate before Adani? So somebody has got to do this. If not Adani, then somebody. Why was it nobody else? So that's a very good question, because India's problem has been, as we've discussed in Viewers Thinkers Frequency, private capex has always been very, very lackadaisical. So India has never had a very high amount of private capex participation, due to which the private consumption has also been low, due to which there's been a lot of problems because of lack of participation of India Inc. So India Inc. has always wanted to sit on cash, if you remember. So if you look at the history of India Inc., they've been very good at sitting on cash, and they've hoarded cash, and they've always invested in real estate and so on and so forth. They've not been the ones to go out of their way to do these private capex investments. But somebody had to do that, right? Somebody had to make those airports. Somebody had to make those ports. Somebody had to make those data centers. Somebody had to make those things, right? If not Adani, then somebody. So right now, the argument to that is, okay, Adani benefited, but why didn't somebody else, right? That's somebody had to make it. So that's a very easy answer to that situation without involving politics. GMR was doing well in building airports. Somehow Adani managed to get more airports and ports. No, GMR has been doing really well, right? So GMR, the airport in Delhi is basically GMR, right? So they did Delhi, while Navi Mumbai went to Adani. So they didn't raise the debt. GMR essentially played it very cool. So if you look at GMR's assets, they've been growing, but not at the pace of Adani. So it's also a case of ambition, right? The group has chosen to be a little, sustainable. At one point, Adani's debt to GDP, debt to EBITDA ratio was way high. It had reached up like 5.8 or something. So it was very risky. It could have blown up. The empire could have blown up if not for Hindenburg. So Adani took more risks than GMR, definitely. And not saying, so GMR has done well, very well as a group. But of course, it's also a case of ambition. How heavy do you want to go? So Adani has went in places where GMR has not been interested in. Right? There's a lot of scope in Northeast right now. There's no GMR action there, right? But there is Adani action there. So you've got to look at it that way, uh, uh, you know, to be able to essentially say that whether it's all fugazi or there are reasons for it. Definitely, other empires should have stepped in, like JSW stepped in, of course, in their own ways. They've done extremely well, right? And other, like JSW is a great example of how they've been able to maneuver the whole situation. And there are other empires as well, but you can't blame somebody for taking more risk, can you? I mean, is it fair to blame somebody for taking more risk? Now, one could argue that they're not taking risk, they're taking debt. Uh, but, you know, that is a risk on them. They go under if the debt goes under. Anyway, so JSW results also came out. When did they come out? It's not out yet. I mean, I didn't read that. JSW Q2 results. Or did we discuss JSW already? I think we discussed JSW's Q2 performance a couple of days ago, right? Yeah, we discussed it yesterday or 24th. We did. So yeah, they did well. They did well. Anyway, so Kotak's Q2 net has slipped, right? Provisions have risen, margins have dipped. Kotak is one of the banks that has not been doing well. But the group CFO says that in the H2 of this year, everything is gonna turn around exactly as we predicted. Kotak has been one of the laggards in the Indian banking space even now. I mean, even before, the story has been pretty lackadaisical for Kotak. And if you look at Kotak's Kotak stock, right? If I look at it from a year-to-date perspective, it's been up 25%, which is not bad. 22%, while other banks have, you know, uh, sort of beaten its records. So Kotak has not been that green or as yet, but there's a lot of scope for improvement in the next quarter. Things are gonna get green, very green for the entire banking system in the next quarter. So we want to repeat ourselves, right? We've already spoken about that enough. Reliance powers on with AI joint venture with Facebook overseas unit. So Reliance will have a 70-30 joint venture with uh, Facebook, right? 70% Reliance, 30% Facebook, where they'll basically be selling consumer and business solutions based on AI. It's an 850 crore, a venture. It's gonna put 850 crores in that venture, and it's gonna be basically using Meta's open source model Llama to make consumer and business solutions and lead to more AI adoption. Now, this is a step in an obvious direction. Reliance and Facebook have been partners, if you know. Facebook invested a lot in geo platforms, right? So they have been partners, and Facebook is one of the laggards in the AI play, very serious laggards. So Facebook wants its models to get adopted, right? Because when do you use Meta's AI? When it's a mistake, right? You mistakenly use Meta's AI. It's never intentional for most people. So it wants its AI to have better adoption, and who better than Reliance for its units? Although Reliance core competence is not this kind of play, but it's definitely venturing in. Invested capital of 855 CR. 855 CR. Netflix results came out, right? FY25. Profit increased 63% to 85 crores. Revenue grew some 3,200 crores or something of that sort, right? And the company has been making the company spent about 3,100 crores on content, marketing, and so on and so forth, right? So that's Netflix India for you. It's a 3,000 crore business. All that's going on for it, 3,000 crores with 85 crores in net, right? That's about it. Does it look big? Well, not really. Not really. Anyway, global automakers seek local tie-ups to steer India plans. So as we know, Indian automotive sector is the third largest in the world right now. China, US, India, India, US, China, however you want to look at it. Uh, how Indian automotive sector has been shaped is that there have been companies which came to India, like Ford and General Motors, the top American automotive companies, and they couldn't do anything. Ford failed, and General Motors also failed, unfortunately, both of them. And but a good way has been, partnerships, local tie-ups. So if you look at BYD, it has done really well because again, Jindal, JSW Group, BYD. No, I'm sorry. Did I say BYD? I meant MG Hector. So MG Hector has been doing well because of JSW. There's Vietnamese company VinFast. Then there's Kia, Hyundai. They've done well. Honda has done well. But other than that, Volkswagen, Skoda, and all of these people, they've been here for decades but have not been able to do that. A lot of other companies have also come and gone. So now they're figuring out a way to actually tie up with these people, with local people, and lead partnerships. So Renault, Nissan, and all of these people, they are essentially exploring tie-ups with local players. JSW is exploring tie-ups with Volkswagen and all, because it wants to get into electric vehicles itself. There's Chinese companies, of course, BYD, Chery, and so on and so forth. They are coming in. So you are looking at global automotive players evaluating opportunities of tying up with local players in a bid to maneuver the whole regulatory terrain or the tough consumer terrain, because when you tie up with a local player, what happens is there's some trust that gets installed, then there's better after sales service, there's some physical presence which is more assuring for a consumer, and so on and so forth. So that's exactly what's happening. 4.3 million cars sold in FY24. It's estimated to grow to 4.4 to 4.5 million cars in FY25, in basically 25. So there's some growth which is going on, not that much, but now it's gonna grow. So there's a lot of room to grow. If you listen to Mr. Nitin Gadkari, he says that in 5 years he wants to make Indian automotive number one in the world, which sort of seems funny to me, but definitely a good goal to have, right? So that's what's happening with Indian automotive sector. There's a lot of political chit chat which we best not discuss. There's some geopolitical action, of course, which is happening. Nothing new is happening. The same old Donald Trump meeting Xi, Donald Trump. Been seeing a lot of MG cars around Navi Mumbai lately. They seem to be catching on. Oh yeah, MG Hector is really doing well in India. And they were very smart essentially to pick up on the premium play. So they didn't really enter the whole mass market operation at all. So they went like pretty premium, over 30 lakhs or stuff. So that really helped the company, and they've done well. So friends who've bought an MG Hector have said that there was no car in that particular segment which could offer what that company was offering. And now JSW is looking at making its own cars. So MG Hector is a partnership with JSW. MG Hector was a British company, British brand, which is now Chinese owned, and now JSW distributed. So it's essentially a Chinese company, which is why I don't like it. Moving on. Do you remember, folks? President Emmanuel Macron. He talked about dealing with China, right? He talked about dealing with the Chinese blockade of rare earth minerals. He said we need to use all tools at our disposal to deal with the Chinese situation. Well, his thoughts have been echoed by Madam Ursula what's her name? I forget. She's the chief of EU. Ursula von der Leyen, right? She says that we are going to get all all use. We are going to use all tools to handle China. And they say there's a particular tool which they've never used, but they have to because China is really hurting their automotive empire. Well, it's too little too late, guys. You all are screwed. Windsor also got good feedback, says Mr. Sumant. Yes, Mr. Kumar. Stablecoin used for payment jumps 70% since US regulation. Stablecoin, dollar pegged. So stablecoins are, of course, crypto, but which is pegged to the currency, right? It's been used for a lot of overseas cross-border payments. Some 6 billion a month, right? Essentially. Most of stablecoin payments at 6.4 billion monthly, nearly two-thirds of the total, end up 113% since February. So Trump has been very favorable towards crypto, as we talked about. He also pardoned the Binance chief, right? So he's very, very pro crypto, and that sort of makes you, hmm, what is the play here? What is the play? So that's what's going on with the crypto play, right? Stable coins picking up. Stablecoins make it easier for cross-border transactions to happen, but it's not that simple, right? Moving on. US China begin trade talks in Malaysia. We've talked about that. Nothing is gonna work out. I mean, nothing. You can't expect a breakthrough in any of these meetings, whether it be US Russia, US China, right? But you can expect a breakthrough in India US, because that's gonna be huge, right? India US is looking at some sort of tariff reduction. We've talked about this from 15%, 50% to 50 or 16%. So that if that happens, it's gonna be very, very huge, right? And we can all hope for it. But in the meanwhile, I hope you've seen Mr. Piyush Goyal's panel discussion with all of these chiefs of the world. So he really gave great answers to in that panel discussion. He was talking about why single out India, right? And the British representative said that you said Germany is asking for an exemption for buying crude from US, right? And UK already got a deal. Then why single out India? And he said no, it's a special subsidiary which is getting that kind of exemption. And he says it's a Rosneft subsidiary. And Mr. Piyush Goyal said, well, we also have a Rosneft subsidiary in India, right? So and it was such an interesting conversation. It's just went viral. It's absolutely viral, and it's everywhere. So I hope you had a chance to look at that. It was pretty good talk, right? And the way he addressed the US tariffs, that we don't deal with a gun on our head, we don't deal with deadlines. But the person said, but that's how deals are done, right? In this day. So he says, we think long term. If there is a tariff, we accept it's a tariff, right? So we look at the domestic economy, we look at other markets, we do whatever we can. We don't try to avoid that tariff by selling ourselves out. So beautiful, which is beautiful, right? There is a research which has claimed that music alleviates pain. Music alleviates pain. So how many of you needed a research to find out that music actually alleviates pain? Well, I did not need a research on that. They could have saved some money on that research, of course, right? By asking me, because you know what? A very good reframe for this is your brain is your body and your body is your brain. So again, I'll say it. It's not mine. It's Scott Adams, sir, of course. Your brain is your body and your body is your brain. So when you feel good, when you help your brain, you help your body. And when you help your body, you help your brain. So that's why all that research that comes out which says gut health is also linked to depression, or physical health is also linked to depression. When you work out, you feel better, and so on and so forth. Brain is your body and your body is your brain. And music is a very good tool of mental programming, right? So if you listen to certain kinds of music, it's a very good way to make you come out of a zone and into a different zone. So if you listen to, let's say, some sad boy stuff, right? You it actually affects how you think, and then you listen to, let's say, Don't Stop Believing, right? It actually affects, and what the things that it leads to also lead to some effects in the body and how it works. So all that is pretty established. But what people do when it comes to legitimizing an experience is that they try to scienceify it. That's what Mr. Nassim Talib says. You try to scienceify a particular experience, right? So everybody likes music, everybody listens to music, people like listening to music. But then what do you want? You want to legitimize it. So what do you want? How would you legitimize an experience, right? You try to do a research and find out whether it actually plays out. That's also the trap where Ayurveda has to go through, right? Because it's an experience, and it's an anecdotal experience running through generations, running through centuries. But now, you've got to stand the test of the time. So it's basically has to be clinically tested, right? They have to be peer reviewed studies on it, despite everybody knowing how big those peer reviewed studies are, right? So this kind of action is not very new. But with that, we come to the end of the 153rd episode of Thinkers Frequency, folks. As I said, there's nothing new happening today, so we might as well enjoy, right? We can chill, since a lot of news is awaited, right? A lot of interesting things are happening. Nothing new is also happening as far as the gold and the whole treasury, the dollar devaluation play. It's right where it was when we talked about it last, right? So no new developments there as well. Nothing new in the world of crypto. Nothing new in the world of business. Tesla stock, it is what it is. So that's where it is, right? With that, we come to the end of the 153rd episode of Thinkers Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis, which don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. It's 8:56. We're gonna punch in. I wish you a beautiful day personally and professionally. And I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, hopefully, right? Some questions. Mr. Raju Kumar says, as someone from Bihar, I would say listening to church songs totally reprograms my brain. So that was the word I was missing, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Raju Kumar. Reprogram, right? So music is, Scott Adams sir's frame is, music is mental programming, which is so nice, which is such a good way to do it, right? Music is mental programming. So it's basically a regimen, right? If you follow it as a regimen, it's mental programming. You give yourself the kind of boost that you need, and it can actually change the way that you're thinking, which is awesome, right? So church songs, of course, and that's music, the power of music, right? That's why I love the art form so much. And church songs, by the way, are folk songs. So this is basically, if you look at church, or if you look at all the folk material, now these are melodies that are not new, but they never get old, right? So there's a saying which says, if it's not new and it never gets old, it's a folk song, right? That means that these melodies are passed on by generations, right? So they've been going on for hundreds of years. So, and what did we talk about? Time, right? Time is the greatest test. So time is a great filter. If it was bullshit, it would have been out, right? Simple, evolutionary. So that way we are very sorted. So I should thank Mr. Sumant Kumar, Mr. Tushar Tiwari, Mr. Chirag Patil, Mr. Yogendra Pratap Singh, Mr. Magesh Mani, and Mr. Raju Kumar. I hope you had fun. I hope it added some value to you, although there was nothing in the news today except for one big item. I hope it still was fun and valuable. It was definitely valuable for me as I was trying to search for things. Right? See you tomorrow, same place, same time, folks. Bye bye. Take care.